Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Friday, the 25th of August. Good to have you aboard. Presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, title sponsor of everything ZASLOW Show 2.0. If you've been involved in any kind of an accident, if you're dealing with a personal injury, slip and fall, hit and run, motorcycle, boating, first you call 911, then you call Anidjar and Levine, where they're going to take care of you. They're going to treat you like family, just like they treated me like family. Immediately jumping on board ZASLOW Show 2.0 as the presenting sponsor of everything ZASLOW Show 2.0. And that, of course, includes It's Still Real to Me, our wrestling podcast, which we will drop tomorrow. Obviously, I think if you're a pro wrestling fan, you know what tomorrow's show is going to be based on. But we'll get to that in a moment here. Nonetheless, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Good to have you here with us. It is a Friday. We did it, everybody. We made it to the end of the week. We're glad to have you finishing your week with us here. We got preseason, week 3. Got going last night. We got a couple more games today. We got the Dolphins tomorrow. Also, you're listening to ZASLOW Show 2.0 now. When you wrap up ZASLOW Show 2.0, you flip on over to ESPN Radio. I'm filling in today Canty and Carlin once again on ESPN Radio. So National Afternoon Drive Time, ESPN Radio Channel 80 on Sirius XM, or wherever you're listening from, local affiliate. If they have ESPN Radio, you can listen there as well. Obviously, the ESPN app. So wherever you are between the ESPN app and SiriusXM Channel 80, ESPN Radio, you'll be able to hear me this afternoon. I filled in for Canty and Carlin Monday and Tuesday, so we're doing it again today from 3 to 7 p.m. And then tomorrow night and Sunday late afternoon, we're hosting ESPN Radio Primetime, just like we did last weekend. So we did 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on ESPN Radio, and we're doing 3 straight days again, beginning with this afternoon, Friday, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. So hopefully you listen starting today, 3 to 7 p.m., Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80. So we got Dolphin stuff to get to. Jonathan Taylor, what's going on there? It seems where there's smoke, there's fire there. I'm surprised. And I'm watching on my television right now on First Take. Where is the best fit for Jonathan Taylor? You got Ryan Clark. He says the Dolphins. Yes, we will get to Ryan Clark coming up in a moment here. So we got a lot of fun stuff to get to in regards to the Dolphins. What's going on with Ryan Clark and Tua Tagovailoa. And obviously what's going on with Jonathan Taylor. Now, we got Heat stuff to get to as well. Not just about Damian Lillard. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he has said yesterday he does not plan on signing an extension with the Milwaukee Bucks unless. So we'll get to that as well on today's show. So I do want to start though and obviously, hey, it's Friday. You know how we roll on Fridays. We got to tell you if it's a big game or not a big game. We got to tell you if it's a big movie or not a big movie. We got it, and obviously, we always do big deal, not a big deal. I don't need to tell you that. But big game or not a big game, big movie or not a big movie, and this is a good big game or not a big game today because we get to mix in some of the college football. That's right. I'm not going to give any spoiler alerts, but, tomorrow, you got Notre Dame and Navy. They're playing in Dublin, Ireland. That may show up on big deal or not a big deal. A big game, not a big game. I don't know. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but unfortunately, we're going to start the show today with some sad news. So, you know how these things come in threes. We hope that's not going to wind up being the case. A couple days ago, and I told you this, yesterday we had Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins, on the show. He's also the owner and promoter of the National Wrestling Alliance, which is the most storied wrestling promotion in pro wrestling history. They have NWA 75 this weekend on Fight TV. And I mentioned so if you didn't listen to Billy Corgan, we talked plenty of Pumpkins and music with him too. Go back yesterday's episode, ZASLOW Show 2.0. One of the more exciting guests I've ever had on the show, talking to Billy Corgan. I'm such a huge music fan, so that was so cool getting to spend some time with him and do some video, interview him via video too. Like really, really cool. So go back and listen to that. But I mentioned yesterday The timing didn't work out because when I spoke to him, we hadn't learned that Terry Funk had passed away. Former NWA champion, WWE Hall of Famer, all-time great pro wrestler, Terry Funk. And so he passed away a few days ago. And now look, Terry Funk was a 79-year-old man, accomplished a hell of a lot in pro wrestling. That's one of those where, yeah, it's sad news that he passed away. And you'll get, the 10-bell salute at the start of WWE SmackDown tonight for Terry Funk. I'm certain of it. But 79 years old, incredible life. That's one of those where you mourn the loss, but you celebrate the life. And then yesterday, which is going to end up being it's one of the all-time great tragedies in the history of the world of pro wrestling. At 36 years old, Bray Wyatt passes away. And just a shocker. One of the most influential, polarizing, not because he did anything bad or anything like that, but he was so different and so creative. And also you're learning now, so loved behind the scenes, where you really like when someone passes away, you can tell, when it's authentic, the way people talk about them and the way that so many in the pro wrestling world have been talking about Bray Wyatt for the last almost 24 hours now. Excuse me. About the love they have for him and the type of person that he was. He leaves behind a wife, I think 2 little kids, 36 years old. That's 6 years younger than me. We'll get to the cause of death in a second. But such a tragic loss yesterday that has just rocked the world of wrestling. He had been off television for the past few months. And you didn't know why. And then word started to get out that he's dealing with an illness. Okay, that's strange, but all right, very good. At least, it's nothing, at least it wasn't fired or anything like that, I guess, So he'd been dealing with an illness. And then word started to get around as well, where it seems like, maybe he's close to getting cleared for an in-ring return. And then we find out yesterday, because he disappeared off television out of nowhere, like a few weeks before WrestleMania. So we're talking about 5 months since anyone has seen him. And then you find out, all right, there's some type of illness going on there. That sucks. And hopefully it's not too serious. And so we find out yesterday, Triple H put it out, that he had just gotten a call from Bray Wyatt, real name Wyndham Rotunda, from his father, Mike Rotunda, who, of course, if you're my age, you may remember back in the 90s played Erwin R. Shyster, otherwise known as IRS. And he called Triple H and told him, and, this isn't one of those rumors where it's a hoax, fake death. Triple H put out the tweet himself. So, it's real. And just really sad, a massive shocker. And the first thing that I'm thinking about, like I said, so different and so really incredibly creative and super polarizing. And then the first thing that I start to think about is, please don't let it be suicide, And this is the type of guy, very, very sensitive guy, very in touch with his feelings, very emotional guy. You've seen that. He wears that. And you really hope that there wasn't something behind that where he took his own life. That's one of the first things I think about, God, I hope it wasn't suicide. And we learned today that it was not suicide. There are reports out now that they have gotten clear that the family wants a little bit of clarification out there as to what happened. And so I guess, maybe so people don't think the worst like I did, that God forbid somebody takes their own life. That is not the case. He had COVID earlier in the year. You believe it? This motherfucking COVID. He had COVID earlier in the year, and apparently he has dealt with heart issues. maybe it's something hereditary. I have a heart condition which is benign now, called Wolff Parkinson White. I didn't even know that I had it until a few years ago, but I was born with that. So maybe he was born with some type of heart condition, an irregularity, and the COVID, I guess over the last few months, he's been dealing with a heart issue because of the effects that COVID had on him. And yesterday, he had a heart attack and he died. I'm glad that it wasn't what I first thought that it could have been. But then, we're dealing with this fucking COVID again, and for people to still, be dying as a result of what COVID has done to them. What a fucking tragedy. It's so upsetting and disappointing. And yeah, so tonight, from what I'm understanding, and I'm sure everyone is so shook. It's been a while since a pro wrestler, at least a few years, and that was Brody Lee for AEW, who used to run with Bray Wyatt in WWE. It's been a little while since a pro wrestler who is currently in action died, and it shakes up the wrestling world, man. And I love wrestling. I love these guys. They're the greatest athletes in the world. And 36 years old, to lose this guy, it's so upsetting. It's not disappointing. It's fucking terrible. And I would imagine tonight SmackDown will be one of those shows where they just dedicate, just the whole show is dedicated, essentially, no storylines, just dedicated to Bray Wyatt. Let's just have awesome matches. They've done that in the past. I think they did that for Eddie Guerrero, where let's just have awesome matches. No stories. Just go out there, good, clean matches. No interference, no cheating. Let's just put on a good show in his name. And I imagine that's what you're going to get tonight on Fox, on WWE SmackDown. So, really a tragic loss in the world of pro wrestling. Really, yeah. Really sad. Really sad. So, and I told my kids yesterday, and I called them over and I showed them the phone, and it says, R.I.P. Bray Wyatt, 1987, 2023. And they're like, what? Yeah. It sucks, man. So, I wish I didn't have to start the show with that. But obviously, if you listen to ZASLOW Show 2.0, you know how big a deal wrestling is. And I'll talk to my pal Joey beforehand, but my guess is that a great majority of the show that we do tomorrow, it's still real to me. I think we'll probably do it on Bray Wyatt and got to mix in Terry Funk. How about that? So tonight, WWE, you got to honor both of them, But like I said, with Terry Funk, 79 years old, accomplished everything that you want to, not 79, you'd like to live a little bit longer than 79 probably, but lived a good full life. And Bray Wyatt, less than half that life that Terry Funk lived. So I feel bad for, obviously, the family. I don't know the family, but I feel bad for the entire wrestling community, wrestling fan community. I know a lot of you guys listen to the show, and I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to tonight's show, to seeing how they honor him. How WWE honors Bray Wyatt. All right, let's try and get back on track here. As it's the way we had. It's the way you don't want to start the show, but it's the way we had to start the show today. All right, so let's get to the Dolphins here. We got stuff going on with the Dolphins. Yes, the Dolphins are playing their final preseason game tomorrow. Is that going to be a big game or not a big game? I'm not going to spoil it for you. I don't know. We'll see. I think we expect Tua to play. And you see, like last night, Anthony Richardson played for Indianapolis. And what I'm saying is, you're seeing starters play in these third preseason games the way that they used to play in the third preseason game when you had 4. But now kind of everyone has their own rules since there are only 3 preseason games. So it looks like Tua's probably going to play a little bit tomorrow after playing what was really just one series last week. One series and the one play that opened the game before that. But we got a couple things here for the Dolphins. And I'm going to start with news that's been going on really over the last 3 days here, all right? First, though, it's still summertime, and I want to make sure you guys, if you're thinking about getting a new ride, if you're looking for a new car, the only place I send you is the only car dealership I personally endorse. I'm telling you about North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. At North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, you're talking the widest inventory of newest Subaru models on the market, from the Outback to the Crosstrek, Forester, Ascent, WRX. Whether you're looking for a spacious Subaru SUV for the family or you're just looking for a reliable Subaru sedan for your daily commute to and from work, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru is sure to have the perfect model for you. Get sizzling summer savings still going on at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. New Subaru models are starting at just $249 a month. Save up to $1,500 off MSRP on select new Subaru models in stock. Plus, receive up to $750 in trade-in assistance. Go to nflsubaru.com. You can shop right now from wherever you're at. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, conveniently located on North Andrews Avenue, just north of Cypress Creek Road. It's the building you know and the place to go. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. So, 3 days ago it was, right? 3 days ago or 2 days ago, whatever it was. I think it was on NFL Countdown, one of the shows on ESPN. You got Ryan Clark and Dan Orlovsky and Marcus Spears, but really Ryan Clark. And Ryan Clark is busted on Tua. The national media loves talking about Tua. I like it from a Dolphin fan perspective, because whether you're saying good things about Tua or whether you're saying negative things about Tua, I love it that they're talking about our quarterback. You know, when our quarterback is Joey Harrington, or our quarterback is Cleo Lemon, or our quarterback is John Beck, or our quarterback is, you know, take any of the bozo quarterbacks that this team had really for the last 20 years, they're never talking about him. Tua is very polarizing. I love that these shows talk about the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a meaningful team now. The Dolphins are back to being a national team, not a regional team. So I like it when they're talking about Tua. But Tua, he didn't like the things that Ryan Clark was saying. Ryan Clark was coming at him, talking about his body. He looks like he's put on the LBs. And Tua is then asked about it, right? Tua is then asked about it by local media, and Tua responded. Now, he did it so respectfully, but also in a way that we haven't heard from Tua before. This clearly touched a nerve, but he still did it with respect. He was very respectful, and his tone was very balanced. Talked about in our culture and Samoan culture, respect is such a major thing, but we could also get scrappy. And I'd appreciate it if you kept my name out of your mouth. And I love this guy. He's so easy to root for, Tua. And you were able to see he was hurt, but also he was pissed. He's done with it. He's tired. And I don't believe that this was really toward Ryan Clark. He's using this one as an example because maybe this was the straw that broke the camel's back. He's talking about everybody when he says, I'd appreciate it if you kept my name out of your mouth. Very respectfully. But this was the tipping point. He's so easy to root for, but for whatever reason, the national media, he's easy to bust on for them. And for the way that I see, I think this is going to be a really good thing for Tua, a really good thing for the Dolphin fan, because this is just another thing for Tua to use as motivation. He has so many different motivating factors, from coming into college after the injury, from injuries he has suffered in the NFL, from overcoming Brian Flores doubting him, from overcoming being taken in and out of the lineup, Fitzpatrick or Tua, from the criticism that he gets on national media. He's got a major chip on his shoulder. And now it really seems like this is the tipping point. And I love when my guys, I love it when the Heat don't get any awards and they're angry and they feel that everybody's out to get him. I love this for Tua. I've never heard him talk like this, and I think it's a good thing. We're now getting a glimpse of a different side of Tua. I think there's a major part of him that is tired of taking these pot shots from the media, and he's letting everybody know about it. And I know Tyreek Hill spoke about it. I love that side of Tua. I love it. Yeah. This is a young player who is continuing to grow, and also a young player who is continuing to develop as a leader and gaining his voice as leader of the team. That's what you're seeing from Tua. He is continuing to grow, continuing to mature, and he's going to wind up using this as motivation. And the Dolphins marketing team, by the way, if they don't come out with shirts saying, Tua, let's get scrappy, oh, you're missing a major marketing opportunity. You're telling me Dolphin fans don't want to go to the Dolphin team store at Hard Rock Stadium and rock a Tua, let's get scrappy shirt? That's a no-brainer. Now, maybe I should copyright that. I don't know. I got to think about, now everybody knows you can copyright things. I might want to copyright that. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure. But, maybe I want to leave it for the Dolphins. Maybe I don't want to get involved in all the legalese as far as that goes. But if the Dolphins marketing department has a clue, you make shirts that say, Tua says, let's get scrappy. Everybody wants to wear that. So I loved Tua's response to Ryan Clark. And, on Twitter, Dolphin fans mad. And, look, I think the Dolphin fan has a reputation. Oh, they're being too sensitive. All right. I mean, you're constantly talking shit about our quarterback. Now, yesterday, Ryan Clark. You're wondering how he's going to respond to Tua telling him, we can get scrappy, keep my name out of your mouth. So Ryan Clark decides to make a video and post it. Here is the video. It's 2 minutes long, but I want you to give this a listen. It is worth the time.
Yesterday, Tua Tagovailoa had to answer questions about something I said on Monday, something that I truly just felt like was a joke to me. That I've realized as the week has gone on, if this man has to answer questions about it, if so many Miami Dolphins fans are offended by it, then people ain't taking it as a joke. So let me be very clear. If I've offended you, Tua, if I've hurt you, if I've disrespected you, if anybody that supports and loves you feels some sort of way because of what I said, I truly apologize. I had two priorities when I started this job. Number one, respect the players and the executives and the coaches that make this game run. Number two, it was earn the respect of those very same people, and more importantly, keep it. Anything contrary to that, then I gotta check myself. Now, don't get me wrong, my ego was involved. When Tua was asked about how he felt about these comments, and he said, keep my name out your mouth, yeah, my first thought is, or what? Or he says he's scrappy, I think to myself, man, I fed my family on violence. I ain't tripping on that. But that's the pride that doesn't enable me to see what this dude's going through. The constant criticisms, the constant scrutiny, constantly being questioned, feeling the stress of always having to prove yourself just to show people you can be available. And then you work throughout the entire offseason, which I talked to his trainer and said that man was in there 3 times a day to build himself up to be healthy. And you got to hear a comment like this. So I get it. I get it because I do want to respect Tua Tagovailoa. I get it because I want his respect too. So to the Miami Dolphins, to head coach Mike McDaniel, who I have a ton of respect for, but most of all, to Tua Tagovailoa and his family, I deeply apologize. I've reached out. I hope to talk to you soon, brother. But just know, I wasn't questioning the way you work. I wasn't questioning how much it mattered to you. It was what I can consider now a bad joke. But for me, it's been a lesson. I'll be better. Thank you.
So, I gotta tell you, that is not what I expected, and a very, very impressive response from Ryan Clark. And I like how he was honest there. He told you how my first instinct was, wow, you want to square up? I mean, 'cause Ryan Clark's a tough guy. Go back and watch some footage of Ryan Clark playing safety. He'll let you out. And he tells you there, my first thought was, is he trying me? I'll square up. Whatever it was he said there. But then, just full-on honesty, putting himself in Tua's shoes, understanding where Tua's coming from, and realizing this isn't who I want to be. I don't want to be the guy who the athletes are taking offense by what they say, especially since he was a former athlete, and then having to be distracted by it because they're getting asked questions about it at their practice, at training, and that's not the type of analyst he wants to be. And now look, this is going to wind up serving as a rallying cry for Tua, Especially, Tua, let's get scrappy. I told you, Dolphins. But when was the last time an athlete responded to criticism and the analyst then apologized? Let alone as thoughtful an apology as that one. I'm very impressed with Ryan Clark. So now I think most Dolphin fans are probably fans of Ryan Clark now at this point. But nonetheless, you have no reason to be upset now. And now I think you probably have, maybe he was before, I don't know. But now you have Ryan Clark, who's probably going to be out there rooting for Tua. Because Tua will get in touch with him. You heard there, he hadn't gotten in touch with him yet. He probably has by now. Tua's a mensch. Tua's a gentleman. Tua will get back to him. He will. And I'll bet Tua really appreciates, even though Tua's always ready to get scrappy, I guarantee you Tua really appreciates that response, that apology that he got there from Ryan Clark. Tua and Ryan Clark will wind up sleeping better tonight. If they're not getting good sleep, I know exactly why. They're not sleeping on sheets and giggles. If you're not sleeping on sheets and giggles, what are you doing? You're waking up every morning, you're uncomfortable, you're achy, you didn't get good sleep, you're tired, you sweat through your sheets. That's because you're not using sheets and giggles, naturally softer, cooler, more breathable, more moisture wicking than cotton sheets. You go to sheetsgiggles.com right now. You're never going to shop anywhere else for your sheets ever again. I got the fitted sheet. I got the pillowcases. I have the comforter, favorite comforter ever. I sleep on a eucalyptus pillow. That's right. Have you ever slept on a eucalyptus mattress? You can purchase one at sheetsgiggles.com. If you use promo code ZASLOW, you get 20% off your first order at Sheets and Giggles. Sheetsgiggles.com. Just like the ZASLOW family, you'll never shop anywhere else for your sheets. You'll become one of over 100,000 Americans who sleep on Sheets and Giggles. That's right. Sheetsgiggles.com. Again, sheetsgiggles.com. All right. So, that's one part of the Dolphins. That was big news yesterday. The other part is this Jonathan Taylor thing for real? So, I've been telling you for the last couple days that, yeah, the Dolphins will look into it, but I don't think they're going to make any type of real offer. I don't think they're going to seriously consider Jonathan Taylor. They'll look into it. They'll explore it. That's what good front offices do. It's like with the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat explore every opportunity. Doesn't mean they're going to do anything, but they're going to look into it. The Miami Dolphins operate very similarly. And it's so interesting, right, with Chris Greer, because the things that I said about Chris Greer over the years, I've done a 180, and that's because he's earned it. He's earned it. Now, they're going to look into it, but you're getting reports out there that not only have they looked into it, they've made an offer. Now, apparently the Colts have rejected that offer, which you know is going to happen. That's why the Colts start with asking for a first-round pick, because a team's going to come back and offer something lower, and they're going to reject, and you're going to go from there. No one says, hey, we're willing to trade player X, and then, Team Y calls up, makes an offer, you got a deal. No, this is all part of negotiating. They're always going to reject the first offer. But this is far enough. And then you're also getting reports that Jonathan Taylor he desperately wants Miami. And then you also remember, yeah, and we talked about this on ESPN Radio a couple days ago, where Jonathan Taylor's agent is Malky Kawa. Malky Kawa is Miami-based. Malky Kawa also represents my guy Yuli Diaz, the fighter, and his wife, my friend also, WWE's Dana Brooke. He represents them also. That's how I know who he is. Malky Kawa is Jonathan Taylor's agent. Malky Kawa is a Miami guy. He is Miami-based, and he's a huge Miami Dolphins fan. So, yeah, you could see Malky Kawa steering Jonathan Taylor towards the Dolphins. Does that even mean that he convinces Jonathan Taylor maybe even to take a little bit less money to come to the Dolphins? Now, I do believe that Jonathan Taylor, he won't ask for an extravagant contract extension because I think he sees the landscape out there where Jonathan Jacobs didn't get what he wants, Saquon Barkley didn't get what he wants, and I'm going to have to ask for a little bit less. If I want to get Dalvin Cook didn't get what he wants. If I want to get a big contract, and he's only 24 years old, it's not the same as those guys, he's not going to be able to ask for highest paid running back ever. He's going to have to take a little bit less. Probably a lot of bit less. But does the agent who is Miami-based and a Miami Dolphins fan, Malky Kawa, the fact that his client is Jonathan Taylor, I think is a major benefit, a major plus to getting Jonathan Taylor to accept a deal, a contract that the Miami Dolphins would offer. But here's the problem. It's not one or the other. It's not the Dolphins. Can you offer the Colts what they want for Jonathan Taylor? Or can you offer Jonathan Taylor the deal that he wants? No, you got to get both right. You got to do both. You have to appease the Colts and you have to appease Jonathan Taylor. And that's going to be difficult. That's the really difficult part of it. It's not just one or the other. You got to come through with both. So, not surprising that the Colts have rejected whatever offer the Dolphins gave. But I am surprised that the Dolphins are seriously into this, that they are this serious about adding Jonathan Taylor. I love it. I mean, I don't care about the money. It's not my money. I don't know what draft picks they're going to give up. They don't have any first for the next couple of years. I'm not sure they even have a second for the next couple of years. I'm not sure what they're going to be able to give up for Jonathan Taylor. But the fact that they're in it, I mean, what a different world. You're a Dolphin fan these last couple of years from what it was the previous 15 or so years. The Dolphins are a destination. The Dolphins are in the mix for all these deals. It's really cool. It's obviously something to keep an eye on over the next few days. But apparently Jonathan Taylor desperately wants the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are interested enough that they are making offers to the Colts. And my guess would be, if you're far enough along to make an offer, if you're actually making an offer to the Colts, my guess would be you have parameters of a potential deal with the running back. Because why come to an agreement with the Colts if you're going to get a disgruntled running back because he doesn't have a new contract? I feel like you make the terms with the running back first, and if you can come to terms, then you work on the compensation with the Colts. So that would sound like the Dolphins and Jonathan Taylor might be, close to on the same page. So you'll love that if you're a Dolphin fan. It's different for me when it comes to the NBA. I'm so bad when it comes to trading for guys because I don't want to give up anything. But in the NFL, it's draft picks. Now, do you throw them a running back? Maybe you do. I don't, because you have a crowded running back room if you're the Dolphins. Do you throw them Raheem Mostert? Do you trade them Devon Shane? I don't know. Because if you're getting Jonathan Taylor, that's a workhorse running back. But the money, the hell do I care about the money? So that's super exciting. That's obviously something to keep an eye on. Something else that is super exciting before we get to all the stuff going on with the Miami Heat is big game or not a big game. That's right. It is Friday, and you're saying to yourself, Zaslow, I got to know. There's so much going on out there. Is it a big game or is it not a big game? Always brought to us here on Fridays by Brunt Insurance. You need homeowners insurance. I've been getting my homeowners insurance from Brunt Insurance and Financial Services for about 10 years now. And that's because time and time again, I just re-upped with them last month. That's because time and time again, I continue to get not just the best rates, the most comprehensive coverage, but I don't have to worry about anything. My man Greg Brunt at Brunt Insurance, Him and his team, they have the experience and the expertise to know all the coverage I need here where I own my home. So if you're a homeowner, you don't have homeowners insurance yet, or if you don't like the rate, you're being charged up the wazoo, 954-589-2204, bruntinsurance.com, and not just homeowners insurance, car, boat, motorcycle, most affordable care and the best coverage out there. You're making the right call. 954-589-2204. Brunt Insurance has you covered all over the state of Florida. They have offices all through the state, so you could be calling from Pensacola or all the way south down to the Keys and beyond. Brunt Insurance knows your area. 954-589-2204. That's 954-589-2204. bruntinsurance.com. Let's get to big game or not a big game. First up, tonight, 6:40 p.m., Bally Sports, Florida. Washington Nationals, they suck, at your Miami Marlins. Now, the Marlins are coming back here off of a terrible West Coast trip, 2-4. They lost the series to the Dodgers. They lost the series to the Padres. And now the Marlins find themselves, they're just 2 games above 500, and they're 2 games back of the final wild card spot. This is the worst position they've been in, really, in months. They're 6th of the 6 teams fighting for 3 wild card spots, and they're 2 back of Arizona, who is sitting number 3 right now. So the Marlins taking on a dreadful Nationals team who is 10 games under 500. Look, let's be honest here. You got to sweep them. Braxton Garrett's on the mound tonight. The Marlins need a sweep of the Nationals. Nationals at Marlins, that's a big game. Yes, that's right. You didn't know I was going to go that way. All right. Tonight, 8 p.m., Fox, WWE SmackDown. I told you, not only are you going to get the 10-bell salute at the start of the show for Terry Funk, but you're likely going to get a completely scrapped show as to what they were going to have tonight on television on Fox for WWE SmackDown. As with Bray Wyatt passing away yesterday, I believe they're going to do just a night full, a dedication to Bray Wyatt, and a night full of matches with clean finishes. Just let's put on a nice show for the television audience, and for those in attendance, it's going to be really sad. It's going to be one of those nights where all the superstars are on the stage before the show starts, as they're doing the 10-bell salute for both Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. Tonight's WWE SmackDown, I think, is can't miss. I'm looking forward to what they have in store tonight. WWE SmackDown tonight, which will likely be a tribute to Bray Wyatt. That's a big game. Saturday, 2:30 p.m., NBC, College Football Week 0. It's Navy, the Midshipmen, against Notre Dame Fighting Irish, live from Dublin, Ireland. Notre Dame, Navy. Not a big game. That's not a big game. Notre Dame's going to kill them. This is not a big game. Saturday, 7 p.m., CBS. Miami Dolphins at Jacksonville Jaguars. Preseason week 3. Are we going to see a little of Trevor Lawrence? Probably not. Are we going to see a little of Tua Tagovailoa? Probably so. What other starters are going to get some time for the Dolphins? You got guys who are one final opportunity to fight for jobs. Dolphins at Jaguars. As long as no one gets hurt, that's not a big game. Preseason football is not a big game. Dolphins at Jaguars, let's get through it unscathed. Not a big game. All right. Saturday night, 7:30, Apple Plus. Inter Miami, the best soccer team in the land, Lionel Messi, at the New York Red Bulls. So, Inter Miami finally playing an MLS regular season game tomorrow night. It's on the road. Lionel Messi, how much is he going to play? Their schedule has been brutal. They played in the semifinal of the U.S. Open a few days ago. They play again on Wednesday next week, another MLS game. But this is the first MLS game for Messi I would imagine he's going to play. Is he going to play the whole game? I don't know. Hopefully they're in a position where he doesn't have to play the whole game. And as far as the standings go, this is it. I'm so curious if they can actually run through these final 12 games and get to a playoff spot. They're 20 points behind the 7th and final playoff spot. They're last place in all of MLS. The New York Red Bulls, they're not great either. They have 29 points. They're also on the outside looking in. But it all starts tomorrow, this push for the MLS Cup, and if they can make the playoffs, Inter Miami at New York Red Bulls, that's a big game. You know it. Finally, I got one more for you here. Sunday, 1 p.m., pay-per-view. What's being billed as the biggest wrestling show ever. 85,000 tickets sold. London's Wembley Stadium. AEW All In. The main event for the AEW World title. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, top Jew, against Adam Cole. Are we going to get the swerve? Does MJF turn on Cole? Does Cole turn on MJF? Which is what I think happens. MJF's in the middle of a babyface run, and I don't think they're abandoning it just yet. I think Adam Cole turns on MJF. AEW All In, Sunday at 1 p.m. That's a big game. And that right there is another edition of Big Game or Not a Big Game.